So, after two rejections from Kickstarter, based on a couple of odd things that were fixed, we've had approval to launch the Kickstarter campaign for 10 days in December. Which is kind of weird because this will be the third crowdfunding campaign for this particular project. Well, the first one was 5 years ago, and it was for the short version of the script, which we raised $6,000, I think, at the time, but we were looking for 30,000. So that failed. Then we decided to scrap the short film idea and go for the feature film idea, and then that was a much lengthier process. We crowdfunded for the proof of concept, which we got and we made, and the hope was that that would help us get financing down the traditional route, trying to attach a production company or a producer or the Irish Film Board, now Screen Ireland. All of those options failed as well. We were kind of roundly rejected. So it's been a very long, arduous process to try and get this film off the ground. And I suppose anybody would say, if you're kind of constantly being rejected at every turn, why do it? Maybe that's a sign of, that this film shouldn't be made. But I'm very stubborn, and I've kind of had that approach and that feeling with all the films I've made. You can see posters behind me of films I've made, all these, and they were all rejected by the establishment. And a couple of them took a couple of different runs at crowdfunding campaigns, or I had to go back and rethink how to make the film on a cheaper budget with a tighter time scale, and which is what I'm having to do on 10 days now. I'm going to have to pare it down. We're not going to be looking for as much money. But I'm not terribly worried about that. I would much rather have a lot of money and a lot of time, but I just haven't ever had the chance to make films that way. So I know how to make films this way, so that's what I'm going to do. And so apart from being stubborn about it, I also can see this film very clearly in my mind, and I kind of know what I want it to be, and I know it will work if we can get to it and get it done. And it's not even a question of proving people wrong. That doesn't even come into it. It's just wanting to do it, and it's one of those things that should be so simple. It's a love story about two people who spend 10 days together at Christmas time, basically getting to know each other. So it's them in a series of rooms in a house, walking around a town, and that's pretty much what happens. And we just follow them around and watch them fall for each other, and then watch how they deal with the challenges they meet as they fall for each other, as reality kind of sets in. But it's been so incredibly and unbelievably complicated to tell such a simple story. Even 140 behind me here, which was 140 filmmakers in 140 locations, 23 countries, 5 continents, all shooting at the same time, and I had to coordinate all of those people. And that was easy compared to this. So I don't know why it's been such a challenge. Maybe it's the universe telling me that I just wasn't ready yet, that I had to get to this point, that I had to kind of jettison all the extra stuff that was in the script and get it right back down to just being about Will and Lucy. Which is fine. If I had to go through that to get to this point, then that's what I had to do. But we still have the crowdfunding campaign, so I haven't launched it yet. I'm still tweaking a little bit. There's a couple of things I still want to do, so it might be like a week away from being launched. And we're trying to raise 20,000 euros, which is still a lot of money. Not nearly enough to make a film, but it's a lot to ask for from people. A couple of the cool perks is it's 20 euros for a digital download and 25 euros for a Blu-ray. So according to Kickstarter, those are quite popular. But I'm running it for 40 days, which is a while, but it's like a lot of money to raise. It would be great to get a good start on it. I think one of the key rules is try and raise 20% in the first week or something like that. And then there's always a lull in the middle, and then it kind of takes off at the end, hopefully. Um, so I could say it's a last ditch effort. I've put so much time and energy into trying to get this film made, and like I said, being rejected at every turn. So it sucks a lot of energy out of me, and I don't have as much as I used to making these films. I'm in my 40s now. I started with Emily's Song there in my early 20s, so I've been at this for about 20 years. And at the moment, I'm kind of going through this thing where I'm kind of in the middle of this midlife crisis, which is not what it was marketed as, you know, uh, having an affair with your secretary and buying convertibles. It's much more about bouts of depression, anxiety, self doubt. And it's kind of been coming on for the last couple of years. I think part of that was maybe quitting a 6-figure job working at Apple and bringing my family all the way back to Ireland. I don't know if that was part of it. Certainly could have been. But then the doubt that comes with having done that, having given up a really good, basically dream job, to coming back home to Ireland to make films again, and it's a risky business. You know, we were here 6 years ago, and we left poverty basically to go and make some money for our kids and our family, and we did. We kind of landed square in the middle of the American dream. The two of us were working great jobs at great companies, making good money. You know, we had 2 cars, a nice house, good health insurance, living in California for goodness sake. But we weren't happy with that. But we were much happier coming home. But then the doubt set in, and then the anxiety, and then depression, which starts this kind of helter-skelter, this ever-expanding loop of going over and over all the mistakes you've made. So I'm kind of digressing here, but just to say that that's been a big part of the delay in trying to get this film made. And a huge thing for me is just being active and being mentally active and creative, and spending so long trying to get this film made has kind of stopped that process. Like, all of these films behind me are kind of one every year. I think Slán agus Banach and 140 were made in the same year, and then pretty much after Emily's Song there was like a 2-year gap. Then I did Bill for Short, and then pretty much from then on there was a film a year. So I was always busy, always active, always kind of excited about something. But then this one came along, and it just kind of put the brakes on everything, and it's just been hard to kind of get the energy back, especially with 3 kids. I'm also a stay-at-home dad. Those aren't excuses, that's just my life now. So trying to squeeze in a feature film, and raising money for that is really hard. But it's still something I'm passionate about, it's still something I want to do. This film means a lot to me because it's my story. It's the story of me and Marianne, how we met. It takes lots of different elements, and it's not like a kind of verbatim retelling of that. It's and there's also room to grow and maneuver, and we have a great cast, great leads with Graham and Grace, who have their own story to tell, and we certainly want their input in the telling of this story. So that's it. So I rattled on for 10 minutes now. Didn't mean to do that. But just to say, we're launching soon. Kind of watch out for it. Get behind it if you can. You know, there's perks from I think $1, $5, euros, sorry, all the way up to 2,000, where you can basically pay for one whole day's filming. Yeah, so it's, you know, the thing I love about crowdfunding is you bypass all the kind of crap and complication that it takes to make a film. And that's one thing I've found. I made a film recently with Able Vision Ireland, and it was just me and my phone, and that was it. And it reminded me of going back and making films when I was a kid, before all the rules kind of got in the way and made it very complicated. So I'm really trying to get back to that fun way of making films, like the exciting way of making films. And crowdfunding kind of cuts out all the middlemen, so your money goes directly to me and into the film. So you can like pre-buy the DVD, and 100% of that money makes the film. So I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. Instead of paying $20 or $15 for a DVD, and maybe 10 cents of that eventually gets back to the filmmaker. So 100% gets back to me, and it all goes into the film. I'm not drawing a wage from this at all. It's all going to go to the actors and the crew and the equipment and all that stuff. So I shall shut up now, and just keep an eye out for the Kickstarter campaign, which will be coming up soon. And thanks to everyone for the supportive words on Facebook earlier this week, and for just following along my career and all your support. There's a bunch of people who have just been there from day one and are always there. And we really appreciate that, and certainly on this project, because I know a lot of people have been following us on this very project for the last 5 years, which is kind of nuts to think we've been on it that long and we haven't started yet. But hopefully this year we will, and we'll have a really sweet film that we can show you guys and share with you. So thanks for listening, and there'll be plenty more to come over the next couple of months.